Do you remember when we said this?
Anyhow.
They have promised to make things right.
Yes, they have promised to make...
With every confidence that they will.
So the caravan goes in for its first service in about 10 days time, and they want to keep the caravan for 6 days. 6 days
to correct it.
To correct all this stuff. So they're going to redo the entire kitchen bench tops, and they're going to obviously straighten out the shower tray and reseal it, and they've got to have the seal has to set for 36 hours, etc, etc. So in their defence, they've been very proactive about wanting to remedy these issues, so they get 10 out of 10 for customer service and proactivity, but 1 out of 10 for allowing these things to happen in the top of the range luxury $200,000 plus caravan in the first place. It's a little bit disappointing, but we love the caravan in every other respect.
We love the caravan, definitely.
It's fabulous, and I have to say it was handed over to us, apart from those faults, in an absolutely pristine condition. A far cry from our previous caravan. So can we recommend Mountain Trail?
Yeah, I think so.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. So yes, it took not 6 days, but 2.5 weeks. They had the caravan 2.5 weeks, and we had to go and find alternative accommodation. We were living with just some clothes that we'd taken on the anticipation that we were going to be out of the van for a few days, and in the end we had to go back and empty the van of all of our stuff because we needed we needed fresh clothes and we needed things to live in and such like. So yeah, 2.5 weeks. And the biggest problem in that time was the fact that in taking out and replacing the stone bench top, they inadvertently damaged the kitchen sink and also the cooker. It wasn't their fault, but in taking out the bench top, it cracked the ceramic hob and damaged the kitchen sink, and unfortunately we had to wait for a new kitchen sink to be delivered from their supplier, hence it took so long. The issue of the shower being uneven, the shower tray being uneven, in the end wasn't resolved. They told me that they recognised that it was a problem, but unfortunately taking the shower tray out could potentially result in even more damage because of the full composite build of the caravan, and so we discussed it and I agreed with them that it was probably worth not doing anything and let's leave the shower tray as it is, and we'll just have to live with the fact that it slopes.
It doesn't drain.
It doesn't drain.
Efficiently.
So now we come to the big issue, the curious case of confusing and contradictory caravan weights. Now, I'm on my own for this part of the video because Jill has left me. She finds all this stuff about weights and numbers and ATMs and GTMs and every other thing. She finds it very confusing, so I'm doing this section on my own. So the starting point is this, the compliance plate. So the compliance plate tells us that this van has an ATM of 4,000 kilos, which is correct because it had the 4,000 kilo ATM upgrade option. It also tells us that it has a tare weight of 3,020 kilos, which according to my calculations gives a payload of 980 kilos, which is what I was expecting with that upgrade. It also tells you that the axle load capacity is 3,800 kilos. So again, that's a little bit odd because axle load capacity is almost always more than the ATM. So what I'm suspecting with these numbers is that this was originally a 3,500 kilo van with an axle load capacity of 3,800, but after the ATM upgrade it was able to go with that axle load capacity to 4,000 kilos. But more on all this weights issue in a moment. So Mountain Trail have this fabulous informative brochure that tells you everything you need to know about the caravan before you make your buying decision. And as you can see, it says the tare, the standard caravan, the 6.7 standard caravan with no additions, the tare is 2,920 kilos. It also tells you the ball weight is 180 kilos. And then they have this fabulous section on their brochure that tells you the cost and the weight of any additional extras that you specify and how that would affect the tare weight. In our case, we had 4 optional extras. We had the ATM upgrade, which was 15 kilos of additional weight. We had the stone bench tops, which was 35 kilos of additional weight. We had the slide out kitchen, the fabulous slide out kitchen, which was 60 kilos of extra weight. And we had the Bulldog electric jack, which was 15 kilos of extra weight. So all in all, our tare weight should have come in at 3,045, and on the compliance plate it says 3,020. So there's already a slight difference between the compliance plate tare and what the tare should actually have been. So I'm not sure why that is the case, but I guess it's within reasonable tolerance. So Jill and I loaded up the caravan and took it home, excitedly preparing to pack it, ready for our big trip. It took us a few days to pack it. We had a detailed spreadsheet that Jill and I had prepared beforehand that itemised every item that we intended to put into the caravan. It may not have been 100% accurate, but it was a damn good guide. And that lot suggested that all our stuff, including the weight of the gas and the new gas bottle, and including the weight of the diesel fluid and such like, would come to about 300 to 325 kilos. So it would vary probably 5 to 10% either side of 325 kilos. So we filled it with water. All 3 tanks were filled with water. That's 295 litres of water, or 295 kilos. And together with our stuff, we expected the full up loaded weight of the caravan to be somewhere in the region of 3,600 to 3,700 kilos. So off we went when we were ready to Barnow Arthur, and we took it to the Galway weighbridge. And to my astonishment, the weight came in at 3,840. And even more astonishing, the ball weight came in at 400 kilos. 400 kilos. That is a big difference between the bull weight of 180 kilos at tare and 400 kilos fully loaded. It didn't make sense to me. It was confusing. In fact, it made so little sense to me that I actually didn't really want to believe it. I decided to get the caravan professionally weighed. I found a company called Weigh Right, and they were actually in Albury the day before we were due to take the caravan in for its service. Perfect timing. So I got them to weigh the caravan with their professionally calibrated scales. And as you can see, they did that on site. And the ATM, when the caravan was loaded with all of our stuff, but only 2 full tanks of water, because I couldn't get the 3rd tank full of water because it kept spurting back on me. So I had literally just 2 tanks of water, all our stuff, obviously the gas and the diesel fluid, and it came in at 3,874. And the tow ball weight came in at an astonishing 434 kilos. 434 kilos. I smile about this now, but that was very, very upsetting, because basically it meant I couldn't legally tow this caravan with my Ram 2500. The tow ball weight was beyond the tow ball capacity of a Ram 2500. And if you can't tow a Mountain Trail 6.7 caravan with a Ram 2500, then I'm not sure what car you would need to tow it. So when I went back into the service department on the following morning, I spoke to the service manager and I said to him, this is the single biggest issue. We have to get this resolved. We simply have to get this resolved. And he said he would help. So after several conversations with the service manager, Jill and I went back up to Mountain Trail and emptied the caravan completely. We removed everything of ours that was in the caravan, and we even removed everything from the front storage boxes, leaving it completely empty so that a true tare weight could be established. I spoke to the managing director of Mountain Trail, and he suggested fitting a rear spare wheel bar. So we moved the spare wheel from the front of the caravan to the back of the caravan to redistribute some of the weight from the front to the back. That bar actually added 35 kilos of weight, but hopefully redistributed the weight so that the tow ball became a lot lighter. Also at my request, what we did was we removed the jockey wheel that was also on the front on the A-frame, which I didn't need because I had the Bulldog power jack, and that removed 20 kilos of weight. So the net gain in weight was only 15 kilos, but hopefully redistributed the weight significantly. So after a few days they contacted me, having weighed the van themselves, and that was on March the 16th, and the new empty tare weight, according to their weight, came in at 3,202 kilos. So quite different to 3,045 plus 15, 3,060 kilos. The ball weight came in at 199 kilos. So even with a reduced ball weight of 199 kilos, it was still in excess of 180, which is what it should have been according to the brochure and specifications. But they said that was their weighing, that had been done on their calibrated scales, and the van will be ready for us to collect the following day. So on the 17th of March, we went to pick up the caravan from Mountain Trail, completely empty, exactly as it was when they had weighed it and established this new tare weight. And we took it 20 minutes down the road to the local Galway weighbridge and weighed it ourselves at tare. Nothing in it, totally empty. And it came in at 3,220 kilos tare. So not too different to what Mountain Trail had weighed it at. The ball weight, however, came in at 220 kilos, not 199 kilos. So yet more discrepancies, yet more confusing figures, yet more contradictory figures. It's an absolute minefield trying to establish a weight that can be used as the basis for a caravan. Very confusing. After a couple of days of packing the van with our stuff, we had to drive around to our friends and get all of the stuff that we'd left there. We packed the van ready for our travels, full of all our stuff. We filled the water tanks, all 3 water tanks were filled this time. We had the gas bottle fitted, and we had diesel tank and diesel fluid. And we took it to Barno Arthur to measure it yet again, this time in its fully loaded state. And it came in at 3,860 kilos. So almost the exact same weight as it was on the 1st of February. Very little had changed in terms of the overall weight of the van. It was still too heavy based on what the tare weight should have been. The good news, however, was that the tow ball weight came in at 360 kilos. So finally it was below my cut-off limit and I could legally tow it. But this is such a plethora of confusing weights and numbers and statistics that contradict each other and just simply don't make any sense. So what do we make of all this? Right, so where does this leave us?
Well, I love this caravan, and I'm happy to say we're on the road travelling again.
Yay! And we both love this caravan. We love almost everything about it, apart from
The shower, sloping.
yeah, the shower is still sloping and probably always will be. But I have to say, I'm really happy that Mountain Trail helped us with the issue of the tow ball weight. They came up with some creative thinking and helped reduce the tow ball weight, so that was a good thing. It obviously needed doing, but it was a good thing that they were able to help us. We're still in limbo, however, with regard to the overall weight of the caravan. The overall weight of this caravan, depending on which set of figures you want to look at, is anything from 150 to 220 kilos overweight. And that basically means that the payload that we bought and paid for, that we thought we could use, we can't. We're now almost at the limit in terms of sensibly using our payload. And there are things that we would want to take with us on our travels that we can't because of the lack of payload. So I sincerely hope Mountain Trail can help us resolve that as well. Maybe they could do an ATM upgrade to 4,200 kilos, and that would potentially solve the problem. We'll report back and let you know how they go. Catch you soon.
Bye.
So, at the end of March, I received not one, but 2 updates from Mountain Trail. In the first one, they said that as far as they were concerned, the handmade nature of the caravan, the fact that every caravan was built differently, gave a variability on the weights from the published weights, which I'm sure is absolutely true. And they said in my case, There were some additional cables, there could have well have been extra galvanising, bits of glue, some water in the tanks, etc, etc, and all of that accounted for the extra weight, about 150 kilos of extra weight in my case. And as far as they were concerned, that was within their weights and within their tolerances, and the matter was now closed. I obviously said the matter isn't closed, and I wanted some explanations and some answers to some of the questions that I then subsequently asked them. A few days later I got a second response, and in this they said they were going to finally look into my suggestion of the only possible remedy for this situation, an ATM upgrade of the Caravan. They were going to refer this matter to their engineering department, but unfortunately I'd have to wait until after Easter to hear the outcome of that referral. So I'll keep you up to date after Easter. Bye.